What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Charles Enoch. You already know we back with another Invest in Myself episode. So run the intro. So today we'll be talking about if you have debt on multiple credit cards, which credit card should you pay off first? But before we get started, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me. My goal is to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So I appreciate anybody that takes the time to do so. So by request, we're going to be doing another scenario on this topic. So I briefly want to go through specifically what we're doing before we get to the whiteboard. So first off, credit cards are calculated by simple interest. And to understand which credit card we want to pay off first, we want to use the simple interest equation to figure out which credit card is charging us the most interest and what our true cash flow is. And what I mean by true cash flow is your income, whatever you bring in for the month, minus your expenses equals your cash flow. But then what is the interest being charged at the end of the month? We want to minus that or put that into our expenses so we can see the true cash flow, our true take home for the month. So once we know what our true cash flow is and which credit card is charging us the most interest, we can focus on paying that credit card off by using the velocity banking strategy. So you guys already know I have a whiteboard with a second scenario on which credit card to pay off, and we'll break this down. Let's go. So let's take a look at the scenario, see which credit card we need to start focusing on first. So we're going to have an individual, their income is going to be $2,500. Their expenses, $2,200. Part of their expenses is going to be the rent, which is $1,000 here. So their cash flow is going to be $300 per month. So the income, $2,500 minus the expenses of $2,200 equals your cash flow of $300. Now, credit card number one has a debt balance of $7,000 with an interest rate of 25%. Credit card number two is going to have $15,000 with an interest rate of 17%. Now, the minimum payment for both credit card one and two is going to be $200. So which credit card should we focus on paying off first here? So what we're going to do is use the simple interest calculation to figure out which credit card is going to be charging us more interest here. So we're going to look at credit card number one. We're going to take that $7,000 times it by 0.25, which is the 25%, divided by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And we see that the total interest per month is $145.83. Now, if we look at credit card number two, we're going to take 15,000 times that by 0.17, pretty much 17%, divided by 12. We're going to see that the amount being charged in interest every month is $202.50 here. So we know which credit card to focus on first here. It's definitely going to be credit card number two because it's sucking up the most interest here. So let's take a look at the other side of the board and see how this plays out and see what our true cash flow is after we do a velocity banking scenario here. All right, so let's take a look at the method here. So for step one, the first thing we're going to do with our $2,500 income, we're going to pay the rent, keep the roof over our head, right? And then we're going to use $200, which is the minimum payment for credit card number one. And we're going to apply that to credit card number one. So $1,200 is going to be for rent and then the minimum payment for credit card number one. Now, step two, we're going to put the rest of our income onto credit card number two. We're pretty much treating it like our bank account, right? So we're going to put the $1,300 onto credit card number two. So the balance on credit card number two is $13,700 because remember, we started with $15,000. Now for step number three, we're going to pay all other expenses we're going to pay all of our expenses that's left on credit card number two, which would be $1,000. Because remember, our total expenses are $2,200. We paid $1,200 of it with our cash here, right? So how this works is the leftover money is our cash flow, and that's what's going to be kept on the card here. So you put $1,300, part of your income, onto credit card number 2, and only $1,000 went out for expenses. So this is the $300 of cash flow that's left on the card. Now, step number 4, the balance on credit card number 2 is going to be $14,700 here. Now for step number 5, remember, since credit card interest is calculated by simple interest, it's a daily accrual. So this is why we want to stuff as much income onto the credit card as possible. And right when you need to pay your expenses, you want to pay it maybe on the day or maybe a day before. You want to keep as much money on that credit card here. So for step number 5, let's calculate the daily interest in regards to what the credit card balance is at that time here. So simple interest here, right? So when the credit card balance was $13,700, when we stuffed that $1,300 of income on there, what we would do is times that by 0.17 and divide that by 365, since there's 365 days in a year. And we see whenever we had that balance, it's charging us $6.38 per day. Now, when the credit card balance is $14,700, we'll times that by 0.17 divided by 365, and we see that it's charging us $6.84 per day. So we see that when we keep it lower, there's less interest being charged per day here. So what we want to do, everything is in a perfect situation. We already know that, but we're going to pretend that the $13,700, when we put our $1,300 of income on there, was there for 15 days. And then we're going to say that the $14,700 was there for 15 days as well. So half of the time it was $13,700. The other half was $14,700. So we times 638 by 15, we get $95.70. And then if we times $6.84 by 15, we get $102.70. So that equals $198.40 of interest being charged at the end of the month here. So our true cash flow, you remember our cash flow was $300, and then we minus that by $198.40, which means our true cash flow is $101.60. So this is how you would calculate the true cash flow. Again, we will still continue to focus on paying down credit card number 2 by implementing these 5 steps here. So if this was helpful, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for me. If you want me to do another scenario, please leave me an email. The email will be in the link below. Give me your numbers and we can go through which card you would want to start paying down first and what would be your true cash flow, how to calculate your simple interest daily to figure out what your interest will be. So like always, you guys have a blessed day. Peace out.